3 bone-chilling true horror stories that haunt you at 3 a.m. Forever the clock struck 3, its sharp chimes echoing through the chilling silence of the night. Darkness clung heavily to each corner of the room, offering no comfort as the shadows seemed to inch closer, whispering secrets meant only for those brave enough to listen. This was not just any hour, this was the witching hour, where the veil between our world and whatever lurks on the other side thins to a mere breath. Those who dare to be awake at this ungodly hour are often rewarded with the chilling pulse of fear and the eerie twist of reality. As winter winds howled outside, a peculiar stillness descended upon a desolate neighborhood known for its unsolved mysteries. Every window houses a dark tale, just waiting to rupture into life. There was the house at the end of Maple Street, once vibrant, now a skeletal remnant of its former self. Neighbors claimed you could hear a faint melody drifting out from the broken windows late at night. A child's lullaby, always on repeat, yet no child had lived there for decades. Each note wrapped around you, evoking nostalgia, yet sparking an innate terror. It was said that anyone who dared to approach the house at 3 a.m. would feel a cold hand grip their shoulder, turning them to stone with a glance. Then there were the whispers. Those who roamed too close to the abandoned town square spoke of a phantom that could steal your breath, leaving only silence in its wake. Locals claimed it had taken form, appearing as a dark figure cloaked in shadows, gliding effortlessly over cracked cobblestones. Eyes burned like glowing coals in the blackness. But the most haunting aspect? This ghostly spirit was rumored to know your deepest fears. Every sighting left more questions. Who was it? What did it want? And what would happen if it ever caught you? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Back to the stories that almost make you shiver. There was a legend of a tree, aptly named the Widow's Oak, situated just beyond the town's edge. They said the tree could speak and listen. Anyone who dared to confess something secretive beneath its twisting branches would awaken the next morning to find their words twisted into a terrifying reality. Courageous souls had approached it, hoping to break their chains of guilt. Each return changed, dragging behind them a weight too heavy for the human heart. The air felt thick around the tree, as if it absorbed the despair, and the uncanny echoes of sobs could still be heard on nights when the moon hung low. What happens when all these tales intersect? As a group of teenagers decided to test their bravery on Halloween night, a chilling challenge was laid before them: a dare to linger at the edge of the Widow's Oak at the notorious hour of 3 a.m. Each of their hearts raced as they stood together, but as the clock heralded the witching hour, a gust of wind howled through the branches, carrying a voice that seemed to beckon them closer. The shadows danced wildly behind them, and as they turned to leave, one was missing, just like the mysteries that remain unsolved in the dead of night. Where were they? Could they ever be found again? Would the whispers finally reveal their secrets? The wind howled louder, a mournful wail spiraling through the air. The 3 remaining friends, Tia, Marcus, and Jake, clutched each other in an unsteady huddle, hearts pounding. Fear prickled their skin, a visceral warning that things were spiraling into the unknown. "Where's Sam?" Tia whispered, her voice trembling as the shadows around them shifted ominously. "I thought he was right behind us." Jake's eyes darted, scanning the dark expanse of the thickening night, but all he saw were the twisted branches of the Widow's Oak clawing at the sky. The bark seemed almost alive, twisting faces flashing momentarily in the flickering light of their phones. Suddenly, a shriek shattered the silence, slicing through the air like glass. It was Sam's voice, muddied with fear. They froze, a moment of paralysis as dread twisted itself like a knife in their guts. "Sam!" They called out, but their voices echoed back like cruel taunts bearing no answers. Without thinking, Tia stepped forward, the urge to save her friend crushing her composure. We have to find him. But as the clock chimed 3, something changed. Shadows surged like a tidal wave, swallowing the faint light that their phones carved from the darkness. One by one, the trees seemed to pulse, breathing in the fear that stung the air around them. It's not safe here, Marcus yelled, but Tia shook her head, her resolve turning her to stone. She turned toward the oak tree, the very heart of the horror that engulfed them. She felt drawn, compelled to take a step closer, as if the very essence of the tree was pulling her in. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices murmuring secrets of the night, each word slicing through her. Stop! Jake pulled at her sleeve, panic erupting in his eyes. We can't, but it was too late. Tia had already crossed the threshold, the branches of the widow's oak bending as if welcoming her. Suddenly, she remembered the stories, the confessions, the sins that transformed into nightmares. What if Sam had done just that? Had he whispered something beneath the oak? What terror awaited them? As she stepped closer, a shiver traced her spine. The air thickened, every breath a struggle. Then silence. A heavy weight settled around them, gluing their feet to the very ground they stood upon. They were not alone. The shadows danced, morphing into a figure that emerged from the darkness. It was cloaked yet familiar, its eyes piercing through the fog of fear, glowing like embers in the night. It's you, Tia whispered. The realization clawed at her heart. The dark figure, bearing a haunting resemblance to Sam, loomed before them, floating slightly above the ground. Suddenly, Marcus screamed as another figure broke through the veil of shadows only to collapse beside them, head down, motionless. No! Sam! The truth seared through Tia. A confession had been made, and now it was their turn to pay the price. Run! Jake shrieked, his sanity unraveling alongside the truth he was forced to recognize. But as they turned to flee, the world around them shifted, warping with echoes of laughter, innocent, haunting laughter from a past they couldn't outrun. Fighting against the night, they stumbled back toward the path, breathless and terrified, but the figure loomed larger, a hand reaching out, ready to grasp their very souls. The shadows encircled them, and Tia felt the grip of cold fingers around her throat, and the last thing she saw was the smirk on the figure's face. Just when she thought they were lost forever, the world lit up with a blinding flash. As the light enveloped them, a strange whisper echoed in Tia's ears, a taunting promise that this nightmare was far from over. What awaited them in the blinding light, and would they ever escape the clutches of the widow's oak? The blinding light flickered like a dying star, pulsating around Tia, Marcus, and Jake. In that moment, all sound drowned, the whispers and laughter swallowed by the radiance. Tia squinted, trying to make out forms through the glare. Were they safe now? Was the darkness behind them just a trick of the mind? Stay close, Jake urged, and his voice seemed distant, as if spoken from another world. Gradually, the light dimmed, revealing a scene that was both familiar and frightening. They were no longer in the woods. Instead, they stood in an old, cracked room, dimly lit by fading candles. The air felt thick, saturated with fear and decay. Each breath tasted stale, like the remnants of a nightmare long forgotten. What just happened? Marcus breathed, looking around with wide eyes. I don't know, Tia replied, trying to steady her racing heart. But we have to find Sam. They moved cautiously, taking in their surroundings. The walls were lined with unsettling portraits, their eyes following the friends as if alive. It felt like they had entered a twisted museum of memories and regrets. Tia shivered at the sight and thought of the stories of the widow's oak, the fables of lost souls trapped forever in the shadows. A sudden shudder ran through the floor beneath their feet. Did you feel that? Jake gasped, his face paling. Before anyone could respond, an echoing voice erupted from the shadows in the far corner of the room. You shouldn't have come back, it boomed, filled with malice and ice. The voice filled every corner, wrapping around them like a cold shroud. Eyes darting, they turned toward the source. A figure emerged from the darkness, cloaked in tattered robes, face obscured. It raised a gnarled hand, revealing skeletal fingers dripping with a dark, viscous substance. Tia felt her stomach churn as the figure stepped forward, revealing deep, hollow eyes that seemed to peer directly into their souls. "Where is Sam?" Tia shouted, the panic clawing at her voice. "Feeding," the figure replied, its voice a haunting whisper. "He is feeding on their sins, just as you would. Every confession, every secret they feed me." Marcus recoiled, a wave of nausea rising in him. "You're lying." The figure laughed, a sound that was equal parts cruel and mocking. "Lies are the sweetest nectar. I feast on greed, jealousy, and fear. And you, dear children, carry your own burdens." It drifted closer, the stench of decay drifting from its rotten form. "Let us go." Jake screamed, turning to run, but the door behind them slammed shut with a resounding finality. The walls trembled as they rattled with ancient whispers, threatening to crush them. "Only the honest may pass," the shadow continued, its voice echoing off the walls. "Confess your sins, and maybe, just maybe, I will let you leave." Tia's mind raced. Confess? What did they have to offer? Could they reveal their darkest truths in this twisted place? She glanced at her friends. Fear was etched across their faces, but something else lingered beneath the gauntlet had been thrown down. "You want the truth?" Tia took a step forward, defiance bubbling within her. "After everything that happened, we should have stuck together. We ran, and now enough." The figure boomed, the power of its voice rattling through her bones. "Speak only your deepest, darkest sins." Panic bubbled within Tia as she searched for words, her heart pounding like a drum. The urgency to protect Sam battled with her own fears. What would they lose in confessing? Jake, eyes alight with terror, blurted out, "I was scared to stand up for him. I let him down. Even more." The figure hissed, leaning closer, its breath a foul wind. "What else? What did you bury?" Tia opened her mouth to speak, but a flicker of movement from the shadows caught her eye. The door behind them quivered. Then, it began to shake violently as if something was trying to break through. "What if it's Sam?" Marcus whispered, a spark of hope in his voice. "What if he's trying to find us?" But before they could grasp what was happening, the air shifted. The shadows roared, and the figure inched closer, its grip tightening. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a familiar voice echoed through the chamber. "Help me." It was Sam, but what was he running from? And would they sacrifice their own truths to save him from whatever nightmare had claimed him? As they rushed toward the doorway, questions loomed heavy, and dread encircled them like breathless fog. What awaited them beyond the threshold? Would their confessions seal their fates, or could they still escape the darkness that pursued them? Sam stumbled through the doorway, breathless, his eyes wild with panic. The candlelight flickered ominously, casting grotesque shadows on his face as if the darkness itself craved him. "They're coming!" he shouted, his voice cracking with desperation. Tia felt a jolt of adrenaline. "What do you mean, Sam? Who's coming?" She grasped his arm, trying to ground him, her own heart pounding like a hammer against wood. His gaze darted to the figure in the room. That thing. It wants to take us. Then we can't stay." Jake yelled, the words spilling out of him. They bolted for the doorway, a frenzied surge of movement, but the figure raised its hand, and the air felt charged with an unseen force, halting them. "Not so fast," it hissed, its voice dripping with malice. "You're not finished yet. Your confessions are due whether you want it or not." Marcus swallowed hard, fear locking his joints. "Sam, tell us what happened." Gulping, Sam stammered, "I heard voices, whispers telling me things I never wanted to know. They're twisted, horrible. I was supposed to stop them, but I didn't. I was too afraid." The figure behind them leaned closer, every word it spoke echoing with a sinister edge. Afraid. Such a sweet confession, isn't it? You all share that fear. Now, who will go next? The darkness surged around them, swirling like a living entity, palpable and suffocating. Tia felt it creep into her mind, dredging up her own demons. Could she take the leap? Could she speak her truth? Sam, we have to get out of here. Jake shouted again, voice strained, as he tugged at Tia's arm. Whatever this is, we can't let it trap us. Confessions bind you, they set you free, the figure whispered, a chilling smile stretching its withered lips. But only if you have the courage to speak. Tia felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She knew there was more than fear keeping her rooted to the spot. The memories bubbled up, ugly and raw, the times she turned her back, the betrayals left unspoken. Would sharing these sins weaken her or strengthen her? Her voice faltered, but she pressed on. I'm not who people think I am. I was selfish. I've hurt the people I love. No. You can't say that. Marcus shot back, horrified. But it was too late. The moment she uttered those words, the figure flared, its eyes lighting up with hunger. More. Feed me your darkest secrets. Let me savor your guilt. Jake's voice broke through the chaos. Stop it, Tia. We can't. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind them. The doors erupted open like a thunderclap, revealing a swirling black void outside. Run! Sam yelled, his eyes now wide with new fear. Before anyone could react, the shadow surged toward them, a living wave of darkness reaching with tentacle-like fingers. Tia's pulse quickened as she felt an icy grip on her ankle. Confess! Confess! The figure howled, rage bubbling over into a terrifying crescendo. They threw themselves toward the opening, pushed by instinct as the darkness strained to pull them back. Don't let it take you! Sam screamed, but his voice was swallowed by the roar of the shadows. With one final desperate leap, they catapulted through the doors and into the unknown. Tia hit the ground hard, the impact stunning her. But as she looked back, the room they had escaped from faded into an abyss, the figure's laughter trailing like smoke in the night. Panting, they scrambled to their feet, hearts racing. Is it gone? Marcus gasped, glancing nervously behind them. I don't know, Tia whispered, glancing at Sam. But what if this isn't over? What else does it want from us? A chill settled over the group as a new reality dawned on them. The darkness hadn't been defeated, it was just waiting, lurking in the shadows of their minds. What do we do now? Jake asked, fear wrapping his words in a trembling veil. They were lost in a quagmire of uncertainty, fear creeping back in. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, and with it, the personal monsters they couldn't escape from those they each carried deep within. As they stepped forward into the unknown, Tia couldn't shake the feeling that they would soon have to face those very secrets again. Would they be strong enough to confront the darkness waiting just ahead? Or would it claim them once and for all? The ground was uneven beneath their feet, the terrain shifting from familiar to alien. Tia glanced around, her breath shallow, feeling the oppressive weight of something unseen. Where had they landed? The air was thick, stale, clinging to her skin like moss. Murky shadows danced at the edge of her vision as if the night itself were a living, breathing entity intent on suffocating them. Should we split up? Marcus stammered, his voice quaking. No way. That's what it wants. Jake shot back, his eyes wide, scanning the dark. We stick together. If we don't, we're dead. Tia felt the knot in her stomach tighten. What if the creature was still hunting them? Those whispers in Sam's confession echoed in her mind. They had escaped one terror, but so many more lurked in the dark corners of their pasts. Can you feel it? Sam whispered, glancing around as if the shadows were alive. It's watching. I don't want to feel anything. Tia snapped, fear boiling into frustration. We need to move. There has to be something somewhere safe. As they stumbled forward, a scream tore through the air, high-pitched and raw, reverberating off the walls that seemed to grow narrower. The world collapsed inward, squeezing the very breath from Tia's lungs. It's coming from over there. Jake pointed toward a clearing lit by a faint glow, a flicker of hope piercing the dread that wrapped around them like chains. With reluctant agreement, they made their way toward the light. As they approached, Tia caught sight of strange, twisted silhouettes moving in the shadows, grotesque figures that seemed to mistake their agony for entertainment. Heart pounding, they stepped into the clearing, gasping at the sight before them. An altar, crude yet ominous, stood in the center. Flickering candles were arranged haphazardly, their flames dancing madly as if in a frenzy, casting strobing light on the faces of long-dead figures carved into crude stone. "It looks familiar," Tia whispered, staring at one particular figure. Her mind raced back to her childhood, stories of a place where darkness consumed the light, where secrets were offered as sacrifice. Marcus stepped closer to the altar. "This is insane. We shouldn't be here." But something pulled Tia forward, a magnetic whisper urging her to investigate. She knelt, tracing the cold stone with her fingers, and in that moment, the air shifted. The figure above her came to life, the carved face distorting into a smirk that twisted her insides. "Welcome, wanderers," it hissed, voice echoing like distant thunder. "Confessions are not just for the living. They resonate in eternity." "Confessions?" Marcus shot back, confusion boiling into anger. "We've already done enough of that." "No, no." The altar figure leaned closer, malevolence radiating. "You have merely scratched the surface. Only deeper truths can break the chains binding your souls." Suddenly, a wave of black smoke surged from the altar, enveloping the group. The darkness was thick, stifling, wrapping around them like a shroud. Tia struggled to breathe, panic clawing at her heart. "What are you doing?" she gasped, trying to fight her way through the shadow. "You must confess to yourself and your darkest fears." The altar shrieked, the shadows pulling her closer. "Or they will consume you whole." "I can't. I can't." Tia cried, feeling the shadows close in, the weight of her own secrets threatening to crush her. Jake shouted, "Tia! You have to fight it. We can get through this together." As the darkness twisted and writhed, its cold fingers digging deeper, Tia felt a surge of courage. I am afraid of losing everyone." The confession poured out, each word laced with desperation. "I've pushed people away. I thought I deserved to be alone." The shadows recoiled, the pressure easing just enough for her to gasp for air. The flickering candles brightened, and the altar figure momentarily lost its grip. "Join her," it growled, rage swirling in spite of the light. "Reveal your truths." Panic surged again within the group. Each was staring deep into the abyss of their hearts. Jake's face fell, tears reflecting. "The candlelight. I never told you I've always felt like a failure." Their confessions began to spill like blood onto the altar, each word weakening the hold of the darkness, but not vanquishing it. Just as hope flickered, a new darkness emerged from behind the altar, the final form of their worst fears. Tia's breathing quickened. What more awaited them? Would they break free, or was the ultimate price their very souls? The flickering shadows revealed a path through the encroaching darkness, but what would they have to sacrifice to reach it? "Prepare yourselves." The altar bellowed, summoning the abyss. "Keep confessing." Tia barked. They had no other choice. But inside, a question burned like wildfire: what other horrors awaited on this twisted journey? The darkness writhed around them, an ominous entity pressing in from every side. The air crackled with tension, like the moments before a storm. Tia's heart thundered, and she felt as if she were suffocating under the weight of their secrets now laid bare. "Keep talking," Marcus urged, his voice shaking. "We need to push it back. Or it'll swallow us." Sam added, his eyes wide with terror. Their words echoed in the air, dissolving into the oppressive silence that followed. Tia glanced at Jake, his face illuminated intermittently by the flickering candlelight, etched with panic. "I'm scared," he finally admitted, voice breaking. "I'm terrified of confronting my family's past, of being just like them." As his confession hung in the air, the shadows seemed to pulse, thrumming with dark energy. The altar figure leered, its eyes glowing like coals in a fire. "Very good, more to feed the shadows, that's it," Tia shouted, panic mixing with intensifying resolve. "We can't let it win. We have to expose everything." She took a deep breath, feeling a flicker of bravery stir within her. I'm terrified of never being enough," she confessed. "Of being lost in my own skin, running from my truth." With each confession, the shadows recoiled, but they pulsed back, gripping tighter, as if sensing the lingering hesitation in the air. We have to dig deeper," Sam cried out, trembling. "What if it's not just our fears? What if it's the things we've hidden away?" Suddenly, from behind them, a chilling sound sliced through the night, a chilling whisper, barely discernible, laced with malice. "Secrets are just shadows waiting for light that you fear exposing." "Shut up!" Jake screamed, clutching his head. "We can't listen to it. I need to say it." Sam's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I've hated myself for so long. I've let others decide my worth. I'm scared to take control." With that confession, the air lightened again, but the darkness retaliated, swirling like a storm around them, intensifying its grip. "Fear is your anchor," the altar figure hissed, feeding off their turmoil. "There is no escape without sacrifice." The thought sent a thorn of icy dread through Tia. What did it mean to sacrifice? Was it enough to share their fears, or was something darker demanded? "A sacrifice for a truth," Marcus whispered, realization dawning. "What if we confess what we truly did to each other, the betrayals hidden beneath?" He took a step forward, voice trembling yet resolute. "I didn't believe you when you said you were sexually assaulted. I thought you were just seeking attention." "I'm sorry." The impact of his words hung heavily, puncturing the tension with a sharp edge. The altar shuddered, shadows vibrating as if responding to the weight of his confession. Something shifted in the atmosphere, but Tia felt an even deeper fear grow within her. "What did you do?" A voice suddenly echoed from the shadows, slithering up her spine. Every eye turned toward her. She hesitated, feeling the burden of their gazes, as if the shadows had eyes, too, watching her every move. "Go on, Tia," Jake urged, gripping her shoulder. "You need to let it out." The darkness swirled around her with a sickening anticipation. "No. I can't," she cried, choking on her words. "I hurt you. I let my guilt dictate my actions. I told secrets that tore us apart." With that last admission, the shadows lunged forward, wrapping around her in fury. The altar screamed, flames extinguished by the enveloping blackness. In that moment, the ground trembled beneath them, the dark shifting like a living thing, sparked into a frenzy. "You toyed with my power," it roared, voice layered with agony, and then, amid the chaos, a blinding light broke through the darkness, severing the shadows as the path ahead illuminated. But just as hope flickered to life, a figure emerged, stepping out from the depths of the shadow, revealing a haunting face Tia never expected to see again, her mother, twisted by pain and rage. "What have you done, Tia?" Her mother's voice echoed, chilling the air around them. "Your sins brought us here now, standing on the precipice of truth." Tia's heart raced as she grappled with the impending confrontation. The light dimmed, and she realized, the ultimate battle against fear was just beginning. Could she face her past, or would her mother's spectral presence drag her back into the abyss? Tia felt her breath catch, her mind erupting with a rush of memories, fragments of her childhood, the laughter and love, but also the whispers of disappointment, the shadows of her mother's anger. The figure in front of her, once comforting, now held a sinister weight. "Why did you come?" Tia managed, her voice trembling. She felt like a child again, cornered and vulnerable. Her mother's eyes, once familiar, now glowed with an unnatural fury. "You need to understand. You think your confessions matter? They are nothing compared to the truths buried within our family." The dark entity seemed to lean in, feeding off their tension. "Yes," it hissed, voice thick with contempt. "Tell her, Tia. Tell her the darkest truth." "Shut up!" Jake shouted, stepping closer to Tia, his fists clenched. "This isn't about her. We made mistakes, but we aren't monsters." But the shadows twisted in delight, a cacophony of laughter echoing in the space around them. Tia's heart raced faster. Could they fight this thing without revealing their deepest fears? Her mother laughed too, a hollow sound. "Oh, Jake, you of all people should know, the sins of the past seep into the present. And you, dear Tia, have fed these shadows with your shame." Tia's throat tightened, anger mixing with fear. "You don't know anything. You never listened to me. Didn't I?" Her mother shot back, stepping closer, eyes narrowing. "You think your pain is unique? You think standing here makes you special? You are no different from us. You hide behind a mask." Each of her words cracked through Tia's facade like glass, and her pulse quickened. The energy in the room shifted. The shadows raged, anticipating her next move. "Fight it, Tia," Marcus urged, stepping into the flickering light. "You're stronger than this." With each breath, she felt the weight of her choices, choices that impacted everyone around her. Her past mistakes loomed like dark clouds, threatening to engulf her whole. "Your sacrifice isn't about destroying your love," a whisper rose from somewhere inside, soft but powerful. "It's about confronting it. Face your truth." Tia closed her eyes, allowing the words to wash over her. The light flickered in response, as if recognizing her emerging strength. "What do you want from me?" she cried, with a mixture of desperation and defiance. "Everything," the darkness roared back, hungry and insatiable. "Expose it all. Let the world see." The revelation terrified her. The chains of her past began to rattle, and a memory unfolded her biggest betrayal, the secret that had haunted her the most. Her heart wrenched. I hurt someone," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I lied to save myself. I destroyed a friendship." The shadows vibrated, responding to her vulnerability, but they didn't retreat. If anything, they pulled closer, excited by the confessions that stirred within her. "You think that's enough?" Her mother sneered, drifting even closer. "You have so much more. What about the truth regarding us? Your father's mistakes? Can you face them?" Tia felt a chill run through her. The room spun, wavering between darkness and flickering light, and she felt her knees buckle. "Stop!" Jake shouted, stepping forward. The air crackled as he punched the shadows, but they wrapped around him in response, pulling him down. "No!" Tia screamed. "Face it together!" Sam shouted, moving closer to Jake. Their eyes met in a moment of solidarity, each fighting their own haunted past. "Tell me what really happened." Tia shouted at her mother. "Why did you leave me?" The air grew thick with tension as the shadows pulsed dangerously, the altar crackling with energy. Tia could feel the weight of their shared pain, brewing into something explosive. Amidst it all, an intangible force crackled, and from the depths of the shadows came a low growl, almost akin to a laughter soaked in malice. "Then let us dig deeper, shall we?" The ground beneath them shook, and a blinding flash erupted before them. And in that split second before the light consumed everything, Tia felt a single penetrating thought: was she ready to face the truth, or would the darkness bury them all? The shadows surged forward, and she held her breath, surrendering to the chaos around her. What horrors awaited in the next moment of truth? A searing light enveloped Tia, pain shooting through her like fire. She opened her eyes, and the shadows had evaporated, leaving behind a vast, otherworldly landscape. Instead of the dim room, they stood on a desolate terrain under a swirling sky of deep reds and blacks. The ground pulsed, giving off a low hum, vibrating with sorrow and rage. It felt alive. Tia. Jake's voice suddenly broke through her confusion. He stood a few feet away, eyes wide and terrified. Where are we? I don't know, she whispered, feeling the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. The landscape seemed to whisper secrets, taunting them with memories best left buried. Is this? Marcus began, looking around, dread etched on his face. Are we in her mind? Or perhaps somewhere darker? It feels like a dream or a nightmare, Tia said, her heart racing. Shapes danced in the corners of her vision. Fleeting silhouettes that flickered out as quickly as they appeared. Your truth has called us here, a voice echoed, chilling and melodic. The shadows twisted into a silhouette of a woman, dressed in tattered white. Her face was hidden, but Tia felt the weight of her gaze. Face your hidden depths, Tia. Who are you? Tia demanded, a mix of fear and defiance racing through her. Oh, you know me well, the apparition said, her voice dripping with mockery. I am every part of your past that you refuse to confront. I am the secrets that claw at your soul. Shut up. Jake snapped. We won't let you control her. Control? The figure's laughter echoed around them, cold and unfeeling. I am merely a reflection of what lies within her. Tia, you cannot escape. Confront your truths, or succumb to the shadows. Tia trembled, images flashing in her mind, happy memories twisted into disfigured nightmares, her childhood bedroom, a smiling face that faded into furious disappointment, laughter that turned into accusations, family dinners that became battlegrounds. Stop. Please. She cried, choking on her own desperation. I want to remember only the good. The good is tainted by the bad. The apparition hissed, inching closer until Tia felt icy breath against her skin. You must acknowledge every moment, every betrayal. Only then can the shackles break. All of it, the secrets, my lies. Tia murmured, feeling her heart race. What's next? I can't bear it. I can't face them all. You are not alone, Sam stepped forward, their face set with determination. We're here with you, Tia. Whatever it takes. Together, Jake echoed, steadying his voice despite his fear. We can help you through this. As they stood shoulder to shoulder, an intense light began to radiate from Tia, illuminating their surroundings. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in dismay. Tia's growing confidence surprised her. If she had to face this, they would face it together, but then a jarring quake cut through the ground. The shadows wriggled like angry serpents, coiling around their feet, trying to pull them apart. Stick together. Tia shouted, panic spearing her heart. We can fight this. As the darkness lunged at them, she summoned all her strength, yelling out her biggest secret, the one that shattered her the most, the truth that had to come out. I was the one who hurt us. It was my fear that ruined everything. The shadows hissed, convulsing violently. They shrank back, but Tia felt her resolve waning, sliding back into doubt. The figures of her past encroached, faces etched with rage and sorrow, demanding acknowledgement and understanding. What if I can't face all of it? She gasped, feeling the weight of her choices pressing down even harder. The apparition leaned in, a sharp grin splitting her shadowy face. Then you will remain here, lost forever, Tia's heart thundered. She could either unravel the fabric of who she was or stand strong against it. But would it be enough to defeat the darkness swirling around her, seeking to drown her in her fears? And right then, Tia realized the truth was only beginning to unfold. Another deep tremor rattled the ground, whispering the next piece of her secret, a truth even deeper than before. What would that revelation unleash? Would it break her, or grant her the freedom she so desperately craved? The ground shook violently, sending Tia reeling. The shadows closed in, their anguished faces morphing into grotesque masks of torment. Her heart raced. She could feel the weight of her buried memories clawing at her, desperate to escape. "What's happening?" Jake shouted, his voice barely audible over the roars of the dark figures. "We didn't come here to lose you. Just hold on." Tia screamed, gripping his arm. "I can't back down now." But inside, she was fraying. Each pulse of the earth echoed a heartbeat laden with guilt, regret, and fear. The apparition hovered closer, its mouth stretching unnaturally wide. "Embrace the truth, Tia. Or you will be consumed by the shadows of your own making." Tia's breath quickened. "No. I want to let you take me." Images flooded her mind, faces she loved twisted by betrayal. The memory of a whisper in the dark, "You'll ruin everything." That voice haunted her still. Would it shatter the flicker of hope she clung to? From the darkness, a whisper threaded its way to her. "Face what you feared most. Only then can you set us all free." Sam squeezed Tia's shoulder tightly. "Remember, we're in this together. Don't let them isolate you. Don't let them twist your mind." With that encouragement, Tia pushed her fear aside, grasping the flicker of light inside her. "I'll face it. I'll confront my past." Her voice cracked, but she could feel the impending resolve swelling within her like a tide. As she spoke, the apparition recoiled. The shadow shrieked, and the ground trembled again, a swirling storm of darkness twisting around them. "You think you're strong enough?" The specter sneered, eyes glowing with fury. "Yes." Tia shouted back, each word infused with determination. "I know it was my mistakes that hurt us, but I can't let that define me." The shadows churned violently, trying to break her concentration. Tia could see fragments of her past reflected within them, moments of despair and heartbreak, shapes of people she loved but had wronged. "If I must own my fears, I will," she yelled, heart racing. "But I will not let them control me." The tremor subsided for a heartbeat, and then the shadows surged again, more feral than ever. As they lunged toward her, desperation clawed at Tia's mind. She took a breath, closing her eyes, recalling the faces that filled her heart with warmth, the laughter, the love, and the moments that shaped who she was. With a roar, Tia released her memories, both the sweet and the painful. Each memory shaped into a flash of warmth, a beacon shining against the encroaching dark. "I don't just remember the fear. I remember the love. I remember who I am beyond these shadows." Light burst from her, driving back the darkness, illuminating the twisted faces with a blinding glow. The shrieks morphed into cries of anguish, and the shadowy figures began to dissolve, retreating into the depths of the landscape. But just as she felt a surge of victory, a loud crack thundered through the air. The ground beneath her cracked open, sending her friend stumbling back. Shadows rose like smoke, grasping at her limbs, desperate to pull her back down. "No! Not again!" Tia shouted as she struggled, but the tendrils tightened around her, dragging her toward the abyss. The apparition loomed close, a wicked grin on its face. "You think you've won? You've only scratched the surface." It taunted, its voice now a haunting echo. Panic surged through Tia, her heart pounding furiously. "What do you mean? What's left?" With one final, horrified glance at her friends, Tia felt herself slipping. "Help me!" she screamed, the shadows pulling her under. Just as she was about to disappear into the abyss, she heard a familiar voice call out, "Tia! We believe in you." The ground pulsed beneath her, and for a brief moment, the light flickered again. Was it hope, or simply another illusion? As the shadows shifted, revealing more of Tia's past, the question lingered in the air, a terrifying whisper: what more must she confront, and at what cost? The world around Tia spun chaotically, shadows clawing at her feet as she dangled on the brink of the abyss. "No," she cried out, every fiber of her being fighting against the darkness. Her friends were there, faces twisted in fear yet filled with unwavering support. "We're not leaving you," Jake shouted, lunging forward and grabbing her outstretched hand. It was a moment fueled by sheer desperation and hope. As Tia felt the warmth of their hands encircle hers, it ignited a fierce light within her. Memories flooded her mind, the laughter shared, the secrets whispered, the burdens carried alone. Each shadowy tendril recoiling from that warmth, thrumming with a vague terror at the light blossoming among them. "I want to let you take me," Tia shouted again, strength surging through her. "I refuse to be defined by my mistakes." "Together." Sam's voice rang out, resolute and fierce. Marcus nodded, his eyes shining with solidarity. "We'll fight this together." They formed a human chain, stepping into the swirling chaos, pulling each other closer, focusing on each cry of support. The apparition surged forward, its figure looming larger, a grotesque smile stretching across its shadowy face. "You think you can escape? Your sins bind you together, but they are also your chains." But Tia felt stronger now. "Our truths will set us free," she declared, her voice reaching an unwavering pitch. Each step she took toward the void pushed back the darkness, illuminating the landscape in flickering waves. She thought of every betrayal, every secret she had hidden within herself, acknowledging the pain they brought to her and others. "I was scared." The realization washed over her, fierce and invigorating. "But it's time to let go." The shadows shrieked, writhing as they clawed at her, but with each confession, a blinding light erupted from within. "I hurt the ones I loved," Tia shouted, tearing the chains of her guilt apart. "I ruined friendships. I let my fear define me." As she spoke those heart-wrenching truths, the shadows trembled, recoiling as the brilliance of their unity exploded outward, chasing the entity away. With a final surge of strength, Tia closed her eyes, diving deep into her own fears, not only the secrets, but the hurtful past she had lived through. "I didn't believe I was worth the love I craved. I didn't trust the people who cared. But I won't carry that burden anymore." The specter shrieked, a last-ditch effort to reclaim its hold. But the light twinkled fiercely, breaking the suffocating grasp of the darkness. It splintered like glass, yielding to the radiant truths that poured out of Tia's heart. The air became bright and warm, wrapping them in its embrace, and for a moment, it was silent. The shadows shrank back, melting into wisps of fog. Tia opened her eyes, and there stood her friends, still holding her hands. Their faces eyes wide yet shining with hope. The landscape changed around them, the dark terrain melting away to reveal a serene meadow. Flowers bloomed brightly in vibrant colors, and the air felt fresh and light. Relief washed over Tia. They had broken the darkness, dispersed the shadows that hunted them. Together. "I can't believe we did it," Marcus exhaled, looking wide-eyed at the glowing landscape. Tia felt tears slipping down her cheeks. "We faced our fears. We didn't let the darkness win." Sam smiled, wiping his brow. "Let us promise to keep those truths between us from now on. We have each other's backs." As they shared that moment, laughter and relief echoed in the sunlit meadow, something that felt like liberation danced through all of them. They frayed threads of darkness that had once bound them together would now only fuel their friendship, an eternal bond stronger than any shadow. But Tia couldn't shake the feeling that something else lingered in the periphery of their newfound peace. "Do you think it's really over?" she asked, voice uncertain as if the very air were waiting for a response. A silent agreement passed between them. They had fought a terrifying battle, but shadows often lurked in the corners, waiting for a moment of weakness. "We'll always have each other's backs, no matter what happens next," Jake declared, with renewed strength. Tia nodded. "We'll face whatever comes. We're ready." And as they stood together, a glimmer of light joined their hands, brightening the path ahead. The shadows may return, but they now had the courage to confront them. United in their truths, they would forge ahead in life, no longer haunted by the stinging memories of the past. It was time to embrace what lay ahead. It was time to live, but as the sun began to dip below the horizon, a whisper of wind tugged at the edges of the trees, echoing the lingering shadows of old fears. Tia shuddered, glancing back, but resolute, she held her friend's hands tighter. Whatever darkness awaited them, they would face it as a team. The shadows would always dance at the edges of their minds, but now, with unwavering hearts, they could confront whatever lay beyond. Together, you need to subscribe now to make sure you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us going. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this chilling conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this story unfolds. This is the moment to show your support for the channel.